With me today is Ricardo Uribe, CTO of CGNet, providers of network design, implementation, email services, maintenance, and support for nonprofits throughout the globe. Ricardo manages a small team of independent contractors on at least 3 continents. The services the contractors provide range from programming to system administration and other services, I assume. Today, we're doing a special interview because it's going to be Winnie the Pooh, my son Lucas, Ricardo, and I. And we're going to try to go really fast because I've only got about 16 minutes of battery left. Who knows if we'll make it through to the end. So, Ricardo, that said, would you please explain how you and I met?
Hi, Ted. How are you?
Good.
Wow, that was a long story. One of our clients had bought a Google appliance, and I think that we needed to customize the appliance to the requirements of the client. We didn't have that capabilities in house, and one of my colleagues started looking into a website for people that have commented about the Google appliance. And I think you were one of the people that either commented the most to make more sense or something. And I guess that's how we got it in touch with you. So just by you doing some comments and make sense of those comments, I guess that's how we decided to, okay, let's ask this person with a weird last name and see if he can help us. And we didn't know where you were, so that's great, and it works out. I lost you. I cannot hear you.
That's
I wonder
because
if this is my okay.
No. It's because I turned on my mute so that I could talk to Lucas. Folks, this is not easy to do. So anyway, we're not following our script. I've turned my screen completely off to save my battery.
Right. Yeah,
Okay,
that's not gonna make changes.
Okay, so let's get back
Go
on
ahead.
track here. So, you guys, we met basically through a forum, an online forum. You and one of the other team members had a Google Mini issue that you were trying to resolve. I seemed to be answering questions in a way that made sense to you and to the other people. Apparently, I actually got some really good scores on that forum. And you decided to talk to me and ask if I could help. One thing led to another. Next thing I know, I'm sending you bills, which was great for me. And I'm just wondering, the students, the people that I'm working with here, sometimes they just can't believe that you would just be willing to send somebody work and actually pay them without being able to look over their shoulder and make sure they're really working. Could you talk a little bit about how that works for you, how you've done it with other people, that sort of thing?
Well, I guess you have to trust people, but mainly you have to have references from your clients. But it's actually not a hard concept. I think it is done very often here in the States. For example, we hire a lot of consultants, or even my clients hire me as a consultant. So just because we have good reputation, then we are able to hire consultants from other parts of the world. It doesn't matter where they are, as long as they have good references,
Mm-hmm.
and just with one job, I think you can get to know how that person works.
Mm-hmm.
If that person is very responsive, if it's usually on time, if it's talking to you often and bringing up the problems that are happening, and it's not hiding things from you, it's being very open. So that makes it really easy to hire people and to give them some work.
I think that
Um,
I'm sorry to interrupt. You said something that I think needs to be emphasized. This idea of being open. Could you talk a little bit about what that means?
well, for me, it means that the person needs to be very, very straightforward, meaning not to hide, not to lie,
Mm-hmm.
and not to be sneaky and say, yeah. I mean, if there was a problem, just say it. If
Mm-hmm.
there is a problem,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes I have to. I mean, if you're working for me, then I need to know what it is. But sometimes you're working for me but for a client.
Hmm.
And I have to be straightforward with the client what's going on. I'm responsible for your work.
Hmm. Hmm.
And if we're not talking to each other and we don't make sense, then I cannot make sense to my client either. Then my client will get suspicious. I will not give me any more work in the future. So it's very important that we are in tune and that we work together to complete that project.
Because your clients are remote too. You have clients all over the globe, right?
That's correct. Yes, most of our clients are nonprofits, and they usually have sites around the world in Asia, Africa, Latin America,
Hmm.
a few in Europe.
Hmm.
So definitely, they look for me for help because they know that I work in this area,
Hmm.
and they need help with their projects, and they're they're willing to work with no matter with if they're in different time zones. That doesn't really matter that much.
Interesting.
So
So, what would you say when you're looking to hire somebody? What would you say is the most influential factor? How do you make the decision that, okay, this person is definitely somebody we're interested in? What is it? What characteristic about them is it that strikes you the most?
the most important one I will say is that they know what they're talking about. They're not lying. They're not making stories up. And just to hear the stories, just to hear what you've been working on, and what kind of experience you have. It doesn't have to be that you have 20 years experience. That doesn't really makes any difference. It's more about the quality of experience, and how happy were the people you we used to work with your own job, with your work,
Okay,
with what you produce.
I'm going to be a little bit direct here. On the other interviews, it just comes out spontaneously. But what about? Oh, great! Now I'm on my low battery sign here, so
So,
we might get cut off. I'll be real quick. Let's say, how important is written communication, and how clear does it have to be?
it's very when especially when working in a different time zone, so far away is very important. You need to be very concise, well, very clear to what you're doing, what you're trying to express
Hmm.
to the other person, and it is very important. I mean that being able to express what you're working on,
Hmm.
it just makes life easier. Definitely, that's pretty a very important part of anyone's job. Pretty
Okay.
much, be able to communicate in that sense.
Okay, that's perfect. Listen, my computer just said you are now running on reserve battery power. It says I have less than 5 minutes. So I'm sorry to rush this call, but if you could, what's the one thing that you would tell everybody that's considering trying to do this?
I'm sorry, you got cut. The one thing that I consider what
What's the one thing that you would tell anybody that's thinking about trying to work remotely?
work ethics. You need to have
Work
very
ethic.
good work ethics. Yes, you have to have your schedule.
Hmm.
You don't have to be careful to get distracted during with other things, because since the boss is not around, then you tend to get distracted. You might get tempted to get distracted by other things happening around you, but you do have to complete your job.
Okay.
So that's a pretty high work ethics, and you need to go along with that.
Okay. Well, Ricardo, I'm sorry I don't have more time, but I really have to hang up, or I think it's my computer's going to shut down and I'll lose this recording.
No
So,
problem. Yes.
thank you very much.
Okay.
Hi to George and everybody, and Dennis and everybody else.
Okay.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Gracias. Ciao.
Saludos. Adiós.
Vale. Ciao.